For a long time, I used to fear speaking. I used to believe I was just an extreme introvert with bad social skills, social battery draining very quickly. I used to fear being interrupted. This was a big one. So I used to just do this thing where I would fasten up my speech and dump it as quickly as humanly possible because I believed that if I just deliver everything as quickly as possible, that means that my message was properly delivered. And also, when someone interrupted me, I used to believe that they didn't give a damn about me. Now I made huge realizations that I want to share with you in this video. And if you identify with my situation, I really hope and I really believe that this will help you and this will set you on the right path. Now let's talk about my fear of being interrupted. What do you think about this approach I had of just dumping everything as quickly as possible? Was that a safe way of having my message delivered? Well, not necessarily. A good delivery of a message is in composure, in assertiveness, in speaking with clarity, confidence, making pauses. Now, if you make pauses, you theoretically allow the other person to interrupt you even more, of course. But the thing about interruption is that sometimes it's unavoidable. Some people, they are just in this bad habit of chronic interruption, and they would interrupt absolutely everyone at any time. So it's really not about you, it's not about what you're doing, how you're talking, it's just about the fact that they have this bad habit of interrupting. That's just the case, and we have to accept it. This is very, very important. If you engage in the conversation with the expectation that you will deliver the perfect speech and no one will ever interrupt you at all, and if you see interruption as being something bad, then when it happens, you are automatically feeling threatened, panicked. Your heart might start racing a bit, you lose your composure, and your speech just becomes worse. But if you approach the situation with the mentality that someone might interrupt me, and that's fine. If they interrupt me, I will just accept it. Maybe sometimes it's even useful to keep talking over them, to assert dominance for a while, for a short while. We don't want to do that at all. And again, with some people, you cannot assert dominance at all because they are just talking over you all the time. But that's another thing. Anyway, so with some people that have this bad habit, it's absolutely impossible. There's nothing you can do. So there is no point in investing your energy into trying to not be interrupted, into feeling bad if you're interrupted. So what you have to do is, instead of focusing your energy inwards, focus your energy outwards. And prepare for a revelation now. Every single time you are talking to someone, there is a part of you in your brain that's actively comparing your performance and your speech with an ideal perception of the ideal speech you have in your mind. And we all have this, by the way, this ideal self. And we always compare our performances in every single domain of life with that ideal self. But this steals a lot of energy, especially when you are in a social situation. If you have that small algorithm inside your mind that always performs this comparison between you and your ideal self, that's stealing your energy, that's making you less present, less authentic. And perhaps you don't even have any idea of what a good speech is actually like, because you'd be surprised to find out how people actually perceive your ideal output, your ideal performance of that speech. People would much rather have an authentic speech that is sometimes awkward and embarrassing. So again, very important, focus your energy outwards, on your pre-verbal communication aspects, not on what you are saying exactly. Now, if you're anything like I used to be, you oftentimes go back and analyze your speaking, your talking output, and you just have thoughts like, I should have said this line instead of that line. Or that would have been a good moment for me to say that joke. If that's the case, then I have a harsh truth to communicate to you. People don't care about what you're saying. People only care about who you are. So if you have a nice personality, if you attracted the right people that love you for who you really are, you can really say anything. It doesn't matter at all. Because again, it's all about pre-verbal communication. It's about the vibe that you have, the congruence that you present out there. Not necessarily the words, the pure words. This is a big mistake I used to do all this time. Oh my god. Anyway, so you have to display your authentic self out there. And it's quite scary to display your authentic self, because if you behave authentically and not just like a robot, not just trying to act in that way to match that ideal perception of yourself, when you are authentic, you sometimes are awkward. You are sometimes going through embarrassing moments. And that's why it's scary. That's why it might be easier, as you perceive it currently, to do things that are matching your ideal perception, your ideal self. Because your ideal self is never embarrassing. But if you embrace that embarrassment, if you laugh about it, that makes nice experiences, that bonds you with people truly, because people don't want a robot, people don't want a Mr. Perfection out there. People want a fellow human being. That's someone who they can bond with. So it's all about presence. That's the conclusion. With all the social skills in the world implemented perfectly, if you lack the presence, you will not be able to bond with anyone. And without any social skill advice at all, if you are present, you don't even need any further advice, in most cases at least. Now, we covered this section and now we understand the importance of presence. It all comes down to it and focusing our attention outwards. But what actually makes a good speech? What makes someone a good communicator? Why are some people just good communicators and other people are just bad at talking? Why is this case with any skill in life? Why is person A good at this skill and person B is bad at this skill? Practice, experience, exposure, repetition. It's all about that. People that are good at talking, they are talking to everyone, always. And they're not just engaging in conversations and bonding. Maybe sometimes they are just yapping. They just like to talk. They talk to themselves even. They are just in love with talking. And if you identify with my situation, with everything I presented so far, then you're probably an introvert and you're not talking so much, are you? So these people that are good at talking, they don't even have social skills oftentimes. They are just good at the activity of talking, not at the activity of engaging in conversations and bonding with people. They just want to talk. And you can take an example out of this and you can take some value. Now, you might encounter resistance and you might deem it as being unworthy to just talk so much since you're an introvert. But I really suggest you to dive into this, to give it a chance, to start just opening up about random, unimportant stories in your life, just for the sake of talking and gaining experience, because the more you do it, the easier it gets. Lastly, you probably have a bad perception about talking. Sometimes in the past, you probably went through some experiences that were maybe traumatic. They felt horrible, that's the case for sure. And your younger self, with their limited perception, drew the conclusion that you have to behave in this certain way. Talking and exposing yourself so much, that's detrimental, that is scary, dangerous. Your younger self took the decision that would just lead you to safety, if you will. And there's nothing wrong with that, it's just something that happened, but that snowballed into an entire personality and into an entire set of detrimental beliefs. That is quite tough, quite difficult to overcome, because you're probably attached in a way to that perception that, because this is all you know, this is how you see life. And it's very hard to understand that the way you see life might be wrong. I'm not here to just assert that this is wrong and this is right. Your way of thinking might be right if you like it, if you like your life like that. But if you don't like your situation and your scarcity mindset towards communication, then you might want to look into this. The idea is that you are a wiser person now. You understand that you are not in danger if you expose yourself. Like, you consciously understand that, at least. You know that's the case. Nothing bad will happen even if you get rejected and everyone judges you. You're not in danger. So what you can do is leverage this perception, leverage this knowledge, and just go out there, take the courage to express yourself and get new output, get new feedback. Because that's how you convince your subconscious mind as well. Your conscious mind knows there is no danger, but your subconscious mind is unaware of that. That's why you start having all these physical reactions, being panicked, your heart is racing, all this stuff. And this is how you convince your subconscious mind, by gaining new feedback and by being prepared to have a more open mind and to interpret that feedback differently. Because if you are prepared to interpret any feedback to satisfy your previous opinion that people just hate you and that social exposure is scary and all that stuff, then you will just bend reality in such a way to justify that opinion. But that's detrimental again. You have to understand that. And if you want to make progress again, then just take the courage and do it. Whoever you are listening to this, I am absolutely certain you have the ability to do it, to escape this fear of speaking and to actually become a good communicator. And once it becomes second nature, once it's easy, you will look back and you will thank your younger self for taking the decision to engage into this, to break the autopilot negative feedback loop you've been living in.